Brothers and sisters, my voice today carries the weight of generations. It carries the pain of our ancestors, who were chained, whipped, and shipped across oceans like cargo, their cries swallowed by the waves, yet never forgotten by the earth. It carries the hopes of the young African child who walks to school in torn shoes, believing that one day his footsteps will lead not only to knowledge, but to dignity. And it carries the unyielding fire of a continent that refuses to kneel again, no matter who calls from across the ocean. Yes, I have heard Donald Trump's words, his summons to Africa, as if we were children to be summoned to the table of those who presume to own the world. But I listen not just with my ears, but with the memory of my people's suffering and the vision of our future. I tell you this, Africa will not answer with obedience, but with truth. The days when the fate of African nations was decided in foreign capitals are gone. The days when our leaders trembled at the voice of a man in Washington, Paris, or London are buried in the dust of the 20th century. We are awake, and we see the game for what it is. Trump's call was not just a political message. It was a test to see whether the new Africa has the courage to speak with its own voice, or if we still allow others to speak for us. He spoke of partnership. But what is a partnership where one arrives at the table with a full plate, while the other comes with empty hands, robbed of their harvest? He spoke of opportunity. But what opportunity hides chains beneath the cloth of friendship? My people, do you think Africa has not learned from history? Do you think we have forgotten that every so-called call for cooperation from the West has been a call to surrender our minerals, our land, our water, our future? We have heard these calls before. From colonizers, from corporations, from those who see Africa not as a people, but as a resource. Let me say this clearly to Donald Trump and anyone who stands behind him: Africa is not your backyard. Africa is not your mine. Africa is not your dumping ground. We are the cradle of humanity, the soil from which civilization first drank, the heartbeat that has survived empires. You cannot call me as a master calls his servant. You cannot call me as a hunter calls his dog. If you wish to speak to Africa, first cleanse your hands of the blood and dirt of exploitation. You must come with respect, not demands. For too long, our leaders have been taught that power comes from pleasing foreign masters, smiling while signing away the wealth of their people. But today, we choose a different path. The call you made, Mr. Trump, will be answered, not with a bow of submission, but with the voice of a free people. Some may ask, Troy, why speak with such fire? Why not choose diplomacy? Because diplomacy without dignity is nothing but slavery with pretty words. We have tried politeness. We have tried silence. And what did it bring us? Foreign soldiers on our soil. Foreign corporations in our minds. Dead strangling our economies. Presidents living in palaces while their people starved. No more. From Dar to Nairobi, from Kinshasa to Ouagadougou, young Africans are telling me, speak the truth. Tell them we will not kneel. Tell them we will not trade our dignity for aid wrapped in chains. Tell them we will not be the slaves of the 21st century. Mr. Trump, you say America is ready to work with Africa. Then work with us as equals. Do not arrive with sanctions in one hand and promises in the other. Do not send your corporations to take our gold, our cobalt, our oil, only to sell it back to us at 10 times the price. Do not lecture us on how to govern our countries while ignoring the suffering your policies create. You speak of making America great again, but we too are making Africa great again. And our greatness will not need your approval. It will be built by the hands of African farmers who no longer sell their crops for pennies. It will rise through engineers who power our cities without begging for electricity from abroad. It will flourish through students who learn in our universities, not as exiles seeking visas. I say to my people, do not fear the voice that calls from afar. The loudest voices are not always the strongest. Sometimes they shout because they are afraid. And make no mistake, they fear a united Africa. They fear an Africa that trades with itself, feeds itself, builds for itself. They fear an Africa that refuses the lie that our place is at the bottom. They fear us because when Africa rises, the world must confront the truth of history, They must admit that for centuries they have taken what was not theirs and called it progress. When I speak, I do not speak as one man. I do not speak as Ibrahim Traoré, a single name written in the sand. I speak as the son of this red earth called Burkina Faso. I speak as the son of Africa, the heartbeat of humanity, the cradle from which all civilizations once drank. I speak as the son of those who were told they were nothing, born to serve, told to bow and bear chains, but who rose and proved they were everything. When I open my mouth, I carry the voices of my ancestors, the hands that tilled the land, the warriors who defended it with nothing but courage, the mothers who refused to let their children die in shame, the fathers who would rather starve than kneel, the warriors who fell with faces to the enemy and hearts unbroken. And to you, Mr. Trump, I say this: if you wish to speak, speak with respect, not the hollow respect of flattery, not the false respect of diplomacy that hides lies behind smiles. True respect is when one human being looks another in the eye and recognizes equality. If you want to work with us, come with clean hands. Do not come with hands stained by the dust of stolen gold, the oil of plundered lands, or the blood of nations whose only crime was to be rich in resources and poor in weapons. If you call on me, do not expect a servant's bowed head, waiting for orders. Expect the voice of a free people, a people determined that our destiny will no longer be written in offices in Paris, Washington, London, or Beijing, but in the hearts of our own sons and daughters. We are not begging for a seat at someone else's table. We are building our own. And if you wish to sit with us, understand this: you cannot bring chains and call them gifts. You cannot bring deals that leave us poorer than before. You cannot speak to us as if we are children unaware of the value of our inheritance. To my African brothers and sisters, hear me. No one will respect you until you respect yourself. Respect begins the day you stop selling yourself for pennies, the day you refuse to let others define your worth, the day you refuse to let fear dictate your choices. Respect begins when you say no to the hand that offers help while hiding a knife behind its back. No one will free you until you decide to live free. Freedom is not given, it is taken. And once taken, it must be defended every hour, every day, with the same fire with which it was won. Those who wait for someone else to deliver them from bondage will die in chains. Those who wait for a savior will remain slaves, because no savior comes unless you first rise and fight for yourself. No one will give you dignity. Dignity is not a gift to be wrapped and handed to you. Dignity is the way you stand when the world tries to break your back. It is the way you speak when they try to silence your voice. It is the way you walk when they insist your place is in the shadows. You must take it, and once you do, never let it go. They will try to steal it. They will come with offers. They will come with threats. They will come with wars, sanctions, and propaganda. They will say that your dignity is too costly, that it will cost trade, aid, comfort, and they will be right. Dignity will demand sacrifice, but slavery costs more. Look at this continent. Look at the land God has given us, fertile, rich, overflowing with beauty and wealth. Yet too many of our people go hungry. Too often we are divided. Too often we are told to fight each other while thieves take everything. This is not because Africa is poor. Africa is not poor. Africa has been robbed, generation after generation, century after century. And now they aim to rob us again, cloaked in contracts, signatures, and words like partnership and investment, hiding the same old hunger of colonial greed. We must say no. We must say it in our markets, in our schools, in our parliaments, in our streets. We must teach our children that their future does not depend on the mercy of another nation, but on the strength of their own hands and the clarity of their own minds. Their passport is not their identity, dignity is. To those outside Africa listening, hear this: we do not hate you. We do not reject friendship. We do not reject cooperation. But friendship is only real when both walk side by side, not when one leads and drags the other behind. Cooperation is real only when both gain, not when one grows fat and the other starves. So, Mr. Trump, if you wish to speak, speak as a friend. If you wish to work with us, work as a partner. Call me as one man calls another, not as a master calls a servant. Because the days of Africa bowing are over, the days we wait for permission are over, the days our voice echoed someone else's are over. We are awake, and once a people awaken, they cannot be put back to sleep. Let the world hear it clearly. The Africa you imagined, the helpless continent, waiting for rescue, is gone. That Africa died the moment our people decided to reclaim their destiny. This is not the Africa of aid agencies arriving with one hand of promises and another of chains. We are not a people who trade sovereignty for grain stamped with a foreign flag. Aid without dignity is a leash. Charity without respect is an insult. This is not the Africa of military bases where foreign boots drown out the voices of our own defenders. We will not accept occupation disguised as protection. We will not outsource our security to those whose bombs destroy nations and whose policies fuel the chaos they claim to fight. True security is built by our hands, with our resources for our people. This is the Africa of warriors, not only those with rifles, but those who fight in classrooms, fields, laboratories, and marketplaces. Warriors are the farmers who refuse foreign corporations dictating what they may plant. They are the teachers who educate children with outdated textbooks and crumbling classrooms. They are the women who trade at dawn, sustaining families and economies with sheer resilience. This is the Africa of builders, the hands raising homes where ruins once stood, the minds designing bridges over rivers that once divided us, the innovators turning scarcity into creations the world has never seen. We build cities without permission, industries without foreign bosses, and dreams without limits. Every brick we lay declares we will not wait for anyone else to shape our future. This is the Africa of dreamers, not dreamers who sleep, but dreamers who dare, dreamers who see deserts and imagine green fields, who see empty skies and envision satellites of our own making. We are the ones who look at history's wounds and see lessons, not chains. We dream not because we are naive, but because we know that every great achievement began in the mind of someone who refused to accept the world as it was. This Africa remembers the past, the chains of slavery, the theft of our resources, the humiliation of being told that our languages, our cultures, our gods, and our names were worthless. We remember the treaties signed under duress, the borders drawn by strangers, the leaders assassinated for standing tall. We carry these memories not as burdens to crush us, but as fuel to drive us forward. The pain of our history is the fire in our hearts, and we will never allow it to be extinguished. Yet even as we remember, we refuse to live in the shadow of that past. We will not be prisoners of pain. We will not define ourselves by wounds inflicted by others. The future is too vast, too bright, too full of possibility for us to stare backward in despair. Yes, we honor those who suffered and fought before us, but the greatest tribute is not endless mourning. It is building the world they dreamed of and were denied. Hear me clearly, this Africa will not bow. Not to the east, not to the west, not to the north, not to the south. We bow to no throne but that of our own people's will. We bend our necks to no master, however powerful. Respect us and we will respect you. Threaten us and we will unite even more. We do not seek enemies, but we will not fear them. We do not seek conflict, but we will not flee it. We extend hands in friendship, but we keep fists ready for those who would try to shackle us again. And know this, the Africa you called Mr. Trump is watching you as closely as you watch us. The Africa you called is awake. Once a people awaken, they cannot be put back to sleep. We are not children to lecture, nor subjects to command. We are partners when treated as equals. We are opponents when treated as pawns. You may speak loudly in your halls of power, but our voices echo across savannas, forests, deserts, and mountains. And they carry a truth older and stronger than any empire. Understand this when you speak to Africa today. You speak to a continent that has buried the era of submission. You speak to people who know the worth of their land, the strength of their hands, and the depth of their spirit. You speak to ears that no longer accept lies and eyes that no longer trust empty promises. We listen with the ears of history. We see with the eyes of freedom. And this, Mr. Trump, is the Africa that answers your call. Not with begging, not with pleading, but with the voice of a sovereign people who will decide their own destiny. So hear me, all who are listening. Whether in palaces in Washington, mansions in Paris, fortresses in London, or quiet offices where decisions about our fate are made without our consent, understand this clearly. The Africa you see today is not the Africa of yesterday. That Africa lies buried in the soil of our ancestors, alongside the chains that once bound us. We have poured the dust of humiliation into the rivers and oceans that carried our stolen people away. And in its place, we have planted seeds of dignity, strength, and unity. Those seeds have grown into mighty trees, their roots sinking deep into the soil, their branches stretching across the continent. No wind from the west, no storm from the east can uproot them. For too long, the world thought Africa was a story it could write. Pages filled with pity, chapters dripping with charity, entire volumes penned in the language of exploitation disguised as friendship. But we are no longer your characters. We are the authors now. We hold the pen, and the ink is drawn from the sweat of our workers, the courage of our youth, and the blood of our martyrs. This is our story, and in it we are not the victims. We are the victors. Do not mistake our hospitality for weakness. Do not mistake our openness for naivety. Do not mistake our willingness to speak for submission. We are patient because our roots are deep. We are unshakable because we know who we are. We are the children of those who fought with spears against cannons, who stood defiant under the burning sun of colonization, who bore the weight of oppression, yet refused to break. That spirit still lives in us, in our farmers, in our miners, in our mothers trading at dawn, in our soldiers standing vigilant through the night. Mr. Trump, and to all leaders who still believe Africa waits for permission to rise, hear this: we are rising without your consent. We are building without your loans. We are dreaming without your approval. We have learned that the hand that feeds can also poison, so we have returned to feeding ourselves. Our fields will flourish, our grain will grow, our mines will fund our schools, our rivers will power our cities, and our children will inherit a land where their minds are free before their bodies are even born. Do not misunderstand this as a rejection of cooperation. We welcome it, but only on equal ground. Come as partners and we will share our table. Come as masters and the door will remain closed. We will no longer sign contracts inked in exploitation. We will no longer trade our gold for crumbs while you feast. We will no longer send our brightest minds abroad to build your nations while ours crumble. Those days are gone. To my African brothers and sisters listening, from Lagos to Dar, Nairobi to Kinshasa, Johannesburg to Ouagadougou, the time for doubt is over. The chains are broken. It is now our task to walk free. Stop waiting for others to define you. Stop waiting for permission to be great. Your ancestors survived centuries of theft, betrayal, and pain so you could stand tall. Some may call us arrogant for speaking this way. Let them. For generations, they called us primitive when we built empires, lazy when we toiled from dawn to dusk, corrupt when they stole our wealth in the dead of night. Let them call us what they will. It changes nothing. We know the truth. Africa is not poor. We are rich. In land, in people, in culture, in spirit. The only poverty we must defeat is the poverty of unity, the poverty of belief in our own power. We are entering a new era. African leaders will no longer measure their worth by foreign smiles, but by the joy they see on the faces of their people. Our currencies will be printed in our vaults. Our borders will be defended by us, not drawn by strangers. Our destinies will be written in the language of our people, not dictated by outsiders. Africa will walk into the halls of the world, not as a guest or a beggar, but as a pillar. So, Mr. Trump, I say this in closing: if your call comes in the spirit of equality, you will find my ear. If it comes as a command, you will find only silence. We are not the Africa you think you know. We are awake, and we have no intention of returning to sleep. Spread this message far, from the deserts of the Sahara to the forests of the Congo, from the shores of Cape Town to the mountains of Ethiopia. Africa will not bow. Not to America, not to Europe, not to Asia, not to anyone. We will stand with friends, work with allies, but we will never kneel to masters. When history looks back on this moment, Let it record that this was the generation that said enough. The generation that refused to be defined by pain and chose pride instead. And I promise, as long as I draw breath, I will defend that pride. I will guard it against those who would sell it, protect it from those who would trample it, and nurture it so it grows in every heart across this continent. The Africa that will not bow is not a dream, it is our reality. And no one, no matter how powerful they believe themselves to be, will take it from us again.